don't know if you guys made it through the budget any farther than I did, but I haven't really done homework. Quite a bit.
Got through most of it.
It looks, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah, I think so.
We're headed in the right direction, it seems like.
I was at a meeting last week that Julie Rosenberg has sent that municipal energy. Rosenberg, there you go.
Figured since you guys passed the resolution, you might be interested in hearing updates on what's happening.
It was really interesting. I think she said there were 14 towns that had signed on. One of them was, and she didn't even know how to pronounce it. It's
So I got,
yeah, Senegal. Yeah, you got it right, Chris.
I got it.
Congratulations.
I've been paying attention in my year and a half in Maine.
Oh, there you go. Although Marge keeps mentioning every time she's seen the video, they're lupins, not lupines. The flowers. Every time she sees it, she's got a comment. I've never heard anyone pronounce it other than lupins, but it's not too intuitive. Sorry, we got recorded.
Okay. It's okay. Oh, well.
You call it Bangor, not Bangor, anyway.
That one, I'm not even gonna try it. I feel like if I try too hard, it's gonna be obvious that I'm trying to fake my way into it.
Trying
That's
to,
almost
yeah.
worse than,
Yeah.
than saying it wrong.
Yeah. We got some lakes though we want to try on in this state.
Oh, gosh.
Wondering what the enrollment was, it's up to 125, it says
Is it?
on this list, yeah.
I think that's
Sweet.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Senegal was one of them that signed up.
Yeah. Great.
It's wonderful.
I managed to get 4 kids through that school fairly unscathed, so.
It's funny, I mentioned some of the modifications we made. She had no idea
What
that'd
is
be an issue.
Andrew do now?
Of course, you're
And,
talking walls.
Oh, yeah.
Someone else at the meeting said,
Planner,
"Bar, you know, with all the Portland, South Portland references and all that.
Mhm.
That's not helping you sell it.
Yeah. I think I sent her
Must be what my mother
the scanned
does.
version of what you actually
Their
sent,
moms, I
or
don't
what you
know
actually
how she
passed,
does it.
because there were changes.
Yeah.
Most of it's
And I
Jewish
told
to
her
me,
again that too.
So
and she can do it in her sleep.
I think they get kind of focused on their, center of the world. Population center in the state. So. I got 6 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. Call order the Monday, March 4th, 2019 Board of Selectmen meeting to order. We have Selectman Mackenzie Jewett, Jamie Thurlow, myself, Kevin Buck, Town Manager Chris Saunders. And Chris is going to be the recording secretary tonight also, I believe.
yes.
We have 2 members absent, Mike Mansalilli and Howard Goodwin. Okay, adoption of the agenda.
Since we give them a motion to excuse them.
If we do. yeah.
Okay. No, I make a motion to excuse Howdy Goodwin from tonight's meeting.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to excuse Howard Goodwin from tonight's meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor?
did Mike call in?
He texted me to say he wouldn't be here.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to excuse Mike Mansalelli from tonight's meeting.
Second?
That's been moved and seconded to excuse Mike Manzalili from tonight's meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, adoption of agenda. Does anyone have any changes? Okay, approval of minutes. We have the minutes from February 19th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 19th, 2019.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of February 19th, 2019. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Committee appointments. The vacancy on the planning board has no applicants. Anyone got anyone to force into the planning board? We can appoint them.
You said no one?
And even the guys that have put in applications previously.
Yeah, so there was one person who put in an application previously.
Mhm.
His name is Sandy Andrews. And I called him and asked if he wanted to be, if he wanted to be appointed, he should just let me know, and I haven't heard from him since then. So,
And is it true we're down 2?
yep, so
Ish.
you might have seen the article in the paper
Yeah.
that Wayne Patton is having health issues, and so he's out for several meetings. And you also have the vacancy for Scott, and so that leaves 5 people, and it's not always 100% for those 5 people.
Yeah, they need 4 for quorum for the meeting.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
And we've advertised?
Yes.
No, try to drum up
Yeah,
some.
I'm starting, I'll try to think.
Yeah, just,
Harder
I mean, it's one of those
yeah.
things that I think if you go talk to someone and say, you know, I think you'd be good at this.
Mhm.
I don't know how much the financial incentive is an incentive, but you know, $35 a meeting is not.
Oh, it is.
Nothing.
It's a paid position then?
Is it that much? I thought it was 25, but
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, either
maybe
way,
it's-
I didn't know.
Yeah,
It's in the budget.
something,
It's not
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. That's okay.
Well, since we are being recorded, I want to make sure I do get it right. I don't want to.
And can they be on other committees as well?
Yeah.
Besides the select, not the selectmen, but I mean,
Yeah, I think anything
other
else.
committees.
Yeah,
Okay.
members get $35 a meeting, and the chair gets $40 a meeting.
Okay.
We
Who
do as
is,
much as we do.
The chair right now since. Scott did-
Mark Good just got
Oh, okay.
voted to be chairman.
Okay, I'll try to think.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna take no action there. Regular business, liquor license renewal for the seafood catch. We don't need a public hearing. Looks like there's no one here to speak to us about it. Sounds like a time for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the application of Seafood Catch located at 47 Shore Road for a state on-premise restaurant liquor license.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to approve the application of the seafood catch located at 47 Shore Road for a state on-premise liquor license. Any discussion? All those in favor? Fiscal year 20 budget. This is where you see I didn't do all my homework.
Looks good. It's a lot of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
Would you like me to just take you through a quick summary of my summary at the beginning of the document?
Please do.
So the most important number that I think everyone cares about is how much is the municipal budget going to increase taxes? And the answer is 2.8% is what's currently in here. That number is exactly the same as the Social Security cost of living adjustment, which is based on the Consumer Price Index for all urban households. And so the reason I use that is if you're living on fixed income, that's exactly what your income is going up by in calendar year 19. And so it stands to reason that those fixed income households would have the same tax impact next year if that's what we do. I think it is healthy to keep in mind that your budget does need to go up by some amount every year, or by keeping it constant with inflation, you're not going up too much, but you are continuing to fund your activities at the level that they need to be funded in order to maintain services. If you always hold your budget at not increasing at all while inflation's happening, eventually you're going to find that you're underfunding a lot of things, and you might have some big price tags down the road. So there's a middle ground there, and that's what I'm trying to hit. The elementary school budget is going up 3.7%. The high school budget is going down 1.2%, and the county budget is going up 1.4%. So we have an overall blended tax rate increase of 2.4%, which is actually a little bit below that 2.8% threshold. So if you care to think of it that way, in a sense, your taxes would be going down if the budget was adopted as is. I always like to keep an eye on the unallocated fund balance. When the auditor was here a couple months ago, or about a month ago, there was some discussion about that. So coming into fiscal year 19, you have a unallocated fund balance of $481,732. That's very good. It's the auditor recommends 10 to 12% of your overall spending for the year. So the overall budgeted expenditures for fiscal year 18 were 5.7 million or so. So we're still a little bit below that 10% threshold, but looking at over the last few years, you're adding about $100,000 a year to that unallocated fund balance, then we'll be there at the end of next year, which is, I don't want to promise that that's going to happen. A lot of things can change between now and then, but that's sort of the trajectory that we're on. So that's good.
Moving in the right direction.
Exactly. Overall, next year's budget for expenditures, 72% are going to schools. That's a combination of the elementary school and the high school. 25% is going to the town, and 4% is going to the county. So that's another way to think about the breakdown of where your taxes are going. So those are some of the highlights just for the fund balance. Are there any questions before I go on to revenues? Okay. So there's been a few changes in the revenue since last year. The auto excise tax, that is a notoriously difficult figure to predict. It fluctuates pretty wildly and it correlates closely with the economy. And, if anyone can tell me where the economy is going to be next year, you're going to be a rich man. And so, this year the receipts are a little bit lower than we expected. And so I've adjusted the estimate for FY20 downward. And yeah, so it's about $25,000 less than what we had anticipated. That's just how it goes. On the positive side, the federal payment in lieu of taxes is $15,000 more than expected, and this is because it's sort of an esoteric change in how that PILT is calculated. That's the Acadia National Park a couple of years ago acquired a piece of property at the end of Coves End Road. And per the new formula, when they actually acquire new property like that, instead of paying a fraction of what the property taxes would be, they actually calculate what they think the property taxes would be and pay you 100% of that. And that lasts for several years. I think it's either 6 or 7 years. And so that piece of property is a large, has a lot of acreage, has a lot of lake frontage on Seal Cove Pond. And so it's a valuable piece of property. So that's why the PILT went up by $15,000.
Oh, it'd be great if we could all do that.
Right?
This is what I think it's worth.
For the next
Yeah.
6 to 7 years, it should stay at that level, but then it'll drop back down in 2025 or so. The Tremont Housing Authority also paid us $5,000. I wasn't sure when I prepared the FY19 budget if we'd be getting that, so I didn't include it, but we did. So that's good.
That's for the whole housing up there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And then another positive change to the revenues is that you have a reserve fund for the municipal revenue sharing. In FY18, that budget withdrew too much, and the fund balance of the municipal revenue sharing reserve account dropped too low. So in FY19, we transferred out much less than we typically do, about $16,000, to build that fund balance back up. And now we've got it built back up, and so now it's back to even. And so I think it's I'm proposing transferring out $39,840, which is $23,000 more than we did last year. So, and I don't want to build this into the budget because, I don't want to be disappointed, but there's a lot of talk in Augusta that the new governor is going to be increasing the amount in the budget, the amount of revenue sharing that's going to be going to town. So we might get more than we expect, which would be great.
Which is always good.
So now onto the expenses. I've chosen $5,000 as the threshold of what, I want to talk about. But if you see anything that's, changes less than $5,000, but you still want to talk about it, of course, bring it up. I won't run through this whole table that's on intro page 7, but I will just highlight a couple that might. So winter gas and diesel. So that a couple years ago, we had a gas price of an oil price of $1.90 a gallon, which was quite low and was great. It went up to $2.43 for FY19. So that's about a 27.9% increase. So what I've done is I just always base what if we had another 27.9% increase and went up to 3 something. And so that's what this budget is based on. So you can see there's a $7,000 increase to the winter gas and diesel line, which is closely, which is tied to the same percentage as the heating oil line. So that's why that increase is built in there. And, we can go through these one by one if you'd like. A couple of them, I think we should go into executive session if you want to talk about, because they do refer to personnel.
This one I was going to ask you a question about, but I get that.
Yeah, so,
I have some questions about that one too.
okay, is that the town clerk salary or the
Yeah.
health insurance? Okay. If you'd like, would be happy to recommend that we put an executive session on next week's agenda, or you could just do one tonight after we get through with the rest of this.
Yeah, why don't we just do it tonight?
Yeah.
Just
I just have a couple
just an
questions.
Of course.
explanation more than anything
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
Sarah just got here and you want to kick her out.
We'll wait until the end of the meeting.
Are there any others that are, these are the $5,000, the first table that are currently in the budget. Are there any others that you want to talk about before we jump ahead to the ones that aren't in the budget?
Remind me right now if everything passes exactly what's the mill rate? I know you told me this already. but
Hence,
A little more than 10. You don't have to tell me exactly.
it was,
but-
I'm so anxious about saying numbers and
Okay, but it's fine.
having those numbers be on record as wrong. So
So if you say 10, it comes out to 18, that's,
It's fine.
Okay.
It's-
last
I have a
current year
guess.
is $10.37.
Okay.
$10.37.
Yep.
And the proposed one is $10.66.
Okay.
So it's an increase of 29 cents
per thousand.
per thousand. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yep. Other questions? Okay, so then the municipal expenditures that are not currently in the budget, placing those boulders in the riprap at Seal Cove, the transfer into the fire truck reserve, the transfer into the solar array reserve, the transfer into the fire station reserve, the town office irrigation system, and my rough estimate of what it would cost to build a wharf harbor master maintenance garage of $150,000. None of those are currently in the budget.
Fire station reserve, that's just for a future, for a long ways. I know.
That's
we
what
talked
keep
about it
on, start
before,
putting
yeah.
away money for
Yeah,
a fire
I'm just
station.
going through.
Could you adjust those numbers rather than saying 50 grand
Absolutely.
for the fire department? Could
Mhm.
it be 10 grand this year
Absolutely.
or whatever? Or
Absolutely.
like the garage? I mean, if we couldn't do the whole 150, could we put part of it and plan later?
Yeah, I think that one, I attended last week's harbor committee meeting too, and that one we need to figure out a lot of details before we
Oh,
budget for
okay,
it, just
so-
because size and in the total end game.
Yeah.
of what everybody wants to, half the people want to do it, I'm on the side of doing it very inexpensively and getting out of it for 50,000, but then a lot of people want to, some people want to duplicate the footprint, so that's a lot of
Maybe we should
additional cost.
let the harbor committee talk about it for a while and get back to us.
Yeah.
It might be
Yeah,
a good way.
no.
But anyway, budgeting for it again right
Yeah,
now, I don't
yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Just
Not
wait to
necessary
speculate
right
at
now.
this point.
Yeah.
I agree.
Maybe we should throw in a motion though to ask the harbor committee to spend some time thinking about it and come up with what they think would be a good recommendation for them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion for the town manager to ask the harbor committee to get some ideas together on kind of a size, I guess we should decide on first thing, a size and use for the, what is now the town house. Town rental
Wharf house.
Wharf house, yeah.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded as Jamie just stated. I'm not gonna get it right if I try. Any discussion? All those in favor?
So just for recording purposes, I've written down to ask the town manager, to ask the harbor committee to determine a size and use for new construction on the site of the wharf house.
Yeah, I just think before we go budgeting or anything else, we need to get a rock solid
Make
size,
a
right, a
number.
rough size.
Yeah, and I think-
within a couple feet.
That's also good. It's always good to start with what do you want?
Yeah.
And then build your budget around what you want. Don't figure out what you can, don't do it the other way around, because then no one's
Yeah.
happy.
And at this point, it's just, we'd like to get their input on
Yeah.
what they'd like to see done there.
Yeah, and just one other consideration is that if you only partially funded it, well, the first thing you have to do is obviously demolish what's currently there if you are building something new there. And once you demolish it, you basically, clock starts ticking on rebuilding.
Oh, yeah.
You got
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah, so we want all of our ducks in a row before we do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we sit there for a while.
If you're fine with that, I'm fine with that.
That wouldn't be my first choice, but
Yeah.
rather than lose the space.
So I know that it's come up a lot of times, the riprap on the Seal Cove. Where was that money coming from though? That was-
Recreation board.
It was the rec board, because I know we'd gone from Harbor Fund
Yeah.
at one point and back and forth.
The more I thought about it, from an auditing and financial management standpoint, you think about the purpose of what it's for,
Mhm.
and it's always been described to me as a safety precaution for kids and I guess non-kids, adults, climbing on the rocks. And that's a recreation use. So you don't have commercial, it doesn't benefit any commercial users down there, whether or not there's riprap on it. And it's also not integral to the structure of the road, whether or not there's, rebar coming out of the rocks.
Yeah.
So it's inherently a recreation purpose.
And it's all the way at the very end, is the very last turnout, or is it the
No.
one before that?
About a third of the way between them.
Okay.
roughly.
Yeah, if you're driving down there, because a lot of that, what you
I
just,
couldn't see it.
all of that area down to the,
Yeah.
and I can take you down there one day.
Yeah.
I have climbed all over it just
Okay.
for that exact reason. I wanted to know what we were
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of that land is Elliot Payne's land, so
Mhm.
I want to be clear, we're not touching Elliot Payne's land.
Mhm.
This is, if you're driving down, you pass the ramp on the left,
Mhm.
and then there's sort of the picnic area, and it's just beyond the picnic area on the rocks right on the water. So
Okay, there's
it's
a little turnout there, kind of like
Yeah.
a fire pit area.
yeah, and it's even between that turnout and
yeah,
where
I
the
gotcha.
other picnic area is.
No, that's quite a high traffic area.
is.
actually.
It is, yeah, and
there's-
if you-
there's a lot of,
If you go down there at low tide, there's a lot of rebar.
is there?
We need just someone with a sledgehammer and, stress relief. And
Yeah.
Just
What was
bend
it
it
ever?
over.
How did it ever end up there? Did you have
Yeah.
a story on that?
Yeah, it's that when they took out an old bridge up on the main road,
Mhm.
and replaced it with the current bridge, and they blasted out everything, they put it all down there. And I think it was, to benefit the town, because it when they originally put it there, it was to reinforce the Cape Road and Algerine Coast, and it did, and it continues to.
Yep.
So I did have Justin go down there and see if, can he just, cut off what's there and do it, and he thought he could do some of it, but not all of it. Some of it's just the angles are so bad, you
Okay.
can't really get in there with the right kind of tools that you need. So
And they, in the quote, said that the riprap was 18,000.
riprap and boulders,
Yeah.
it was actually more.
Really?
And when you guys had your budget meeting on November 14th, you just budgeted less because you thought that what their quote was high.
Yeah.
I think there
They
was,
were talking about different materials.
Yeah, well,
we
boulders
did
only-
Fieldstone
Yeah.
at first, and
yeah,
that's.
boulders only was 20,000 and boulders and riprap is 25,000. And you requested 18.
What do you think?
I mean, I haven't climbed along the rocks, but if you have and you think it's a safety situation, then I think we've got to do.
Well, I think.
Well, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that I just did it just to inform myself.
Sure,
as to
no,
what's
I know,
happening.
no, I know. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, it hasn't been a problem.
I mean, is it possible that Justin or somebody could go down there and cut what he can cut?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I mean, not until the spring, but yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a busy area in the summer. I mean, there are families down there all summer long.
They don't seem to be in that area that much. I've never seen anyone in that little stretch. I mean, if they're going to go between, whatever, they walk on the road usually.
Okay.
I've never seen kids down there.
Okay,
So, I mean, that's not to say they don't, but I've
Sure.
never seen it.
well, maybe it's something we could skip.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what's proposed this year, just keep
Yeah,
the
skip
budget,
it.
budget down.
Mhm. What if
We'll
we,
send public works guys up there this summer when they're bored, Justin or whatever, see what they can do.
what
Maybe
if
they
we
can
put-
reduce it enough so redoing it would save money.
That's what I was thinking, what if we
Yeah.
put some money towards it, and just something, not 18,000, but if we could think of some other number that would make everybody happy to, at least we could get something done with it, maybe, some boulders or some, just, even if it was half of the work done at one time, or,
Mhm.
the only thing is I just don't wanna see anybody get hurt on
Yeah.
it and have us have overlooked it, I want us to, that's my thing, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
that's
no,
all.
no.
Well, how about we have the public works and Justin, whatever combination, try to see what they can do this spring. And, maybe $2,500 worth of materials and see where it goes. See if that makes much difference.
I think,
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we throw that one back in?
I think a motion would be helpful.
To put in for.
$2,500.
$2,500 worth
I
of
mean, it
materials.
sounds like they ought to be able to.
Yeah.
I would think that done, selectively could probably cure an awful lot of the problems.
Mhm.
And, maybe you wouldn't get all the big boulders. It's structural. You don't need a lot of boulders. I mean, if you put a lot of boulders in, you're gonna actually change that a lot, I think.
Mhm.
But, I think if you get in there and fill some holes and, because a lot of it is just the stuff that didn't settle well.
Yeah, if you could take
Yeah.
a torch or something and cut off a lot of that
Yeah,
rebar,
yeah.
just have someone come in and do that would be,
Mhm.
I'm sure you
Yeah,
could get rid
yeah.
of even 90% of it would be good, and then fill in, if you're comfortable with that, if you go with
Sounds
that,
fine with
then-
me, yeah.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let someone make a motion. And just put, put 2,500 towards,
I will make a motion to put $2,500 towards replacing or fixing riprap at Seal Cove to remove rebar.
Yeah, I'll second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to, put $2,500 into the recreation board budget for, repairing and covering rebar at Seal Cove. Sound right?
Mhm.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Yeah, we didn't mention that that's after the public works group. That's what they can.
Oh, yeah, after the
Yeah.
public work
But we
goes in.
don't, that doesn't really need to be in a motion anyway. I
No,
mean,
Yeah,
I
at
mean,
least it budgets money to
Yeah.
start, to do
Yeah.
something, and then
Yeah.
if you needed, like, say, $2,500 more,
Mhm.
we could do that
Mhm.
mid-season, couldn't we, if we had to,
Yeah, you would probably end up requiring a budget, at some point, a budget transfer
Mhm.
into the rec fund, just because the recreation budget isn't very big.
Yeah. But I mean, if we did,
Yeah.
if we got caught in a spot where we had to, yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
Yeah, if not $2,500 to finish.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
Yeah.
if it's, as long as we cover it and make it safe, I'm happy.
Yeah, and then we're gonna dealing with the contract and all that. We can go up and see what happens. And,
Yeah.
once they do some work, we'll know a lot more.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to handle that.
Sounds good. Anything else you?
No Keith to talk about the fire station stuff.
That was a wish list thing with him, I
Yeah,
think.
okay.
I mean,
That's a long ways off. It's
It
good to
is,
save up,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
same thing as the wharf house thing. It's just a
Down the
think we're-
road. Yeah,
lot of
no,
planning needs to be done before we budget for it.
Yeah, he doesn't have a location or anything. He was speculating
just
on
trying
all
to,
of
yeah,
that.
okay.
He just thought it'd be good to start saving
Mhm.
some money towards it.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to look since we spoke on the phone earlier about the balance sheet summary.
Yes. Yep, so
I
if
talked
you,
with Chris earlier on today, and I said, I skimmed through here quickly. One of the things I always like to see is like a single page balance sheet.
Mhm.
So you can just get an idea where they've been and where it's going.
So if you go to RSV-1,
Okay.
that's what the balances will be, that far right column on June 30th, 2019. And then my predictions of what they'll be, if you turn the page, on June 30th, 2020.
This is where it's headed. I'm sure, I know I get interrupted or something, I never get back to it. So.
Yep.
That's good, thanks, Chris.
So I mean, the big changes there to the special revenue funds, that's the Harbor, Wharf, and Seal Cove. You can see at the end of FY19, you've got, $82,000 sitting in the Wharf Fund, and you jump to FY20 and it drops down to 9,000.
Mhm.
And that's because I'm proposing using all of that budget to fund the wharf reconstruction so that we don't have to take out a loan.
Which makes a lot of sense. Seal Cove's gonna start looking pretty bad too, isn't it? Well, hopefully the new transient. mooring
Yep.
up there will-
We're putting the mooring out there, so got some new revenue coming in hopefully, but who knows what it'll be.
To find room for a cemetery. Seems to be the moneymaker.
That's true, yeah. The cemetery revenues can't be spent.
Oh, they're for maintenance.
The interest earned
Okay.
off those revenues can be used for maintenance.
Oh, okay.
Principal can never be spent. State law,
So it just sits there forever?
correct.
Okay.
But if you notice,
So if we charge rent instead
You
of
go to
selling
the-
the spot,
we'll look at the cemetery trust fund, has a balance of, I'll refer to FY19 for this, of about $175,000.
Well, if it doesn't ever get used for, I was under the impression that it went for maintenance. If it doesn't go for
Mhm.
maintenance, then
I didn't realize that.
why are we even charging what we're charging?
Well, you build up the more money you have and then
The
the more
interest.
interest you
Yeah,
get, so.
You got $372. You put another 50,000 in there, we'll get 400.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah,
That,
you know.
okay.
Didn't realize that one.
No.
Maybe we should call a legislator.
Is that with private? Is it different if it's a?
I don't know.
town or private?
I don't know.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's a little, this might be a little bit premature to talk about, but I will point out that one of the loans, that we have out for the purchase of fire engines in Hinton Estate, FY20 is the last payment on that loan. That loan amount is $100,000. So you can think about that next year, there should be around 100,000 new dollars that are available for expenditures. Now, I want to qualify that with, costs are always going up in other areas. And so I highly doubt that it'll be exactly $100,000 next year. But there should be some more flexibility for some projects.
Nice, good.
Or we could keep the tax increase down too.
Or you can lower taxes.
Yeah.
Or you can allocate it all to building a new road.
Yeah.
It's,
Now, once we hit our 10 or 12% that James had recommended,
Mhm.
then we can start lowering stuff maybe.
Yeah.
It's an option, but
I think one of the things,
it's good.
some of the conversations I've had in the last 2 or 3 weeks about the general road conditions. And one of the things we've done so well in this town, the roads are in good shape. I mean, the runs, it's like Kellytown, for example, I drive that daily. And that road's in great shape. I mean, there's a little bit of a frosty even one spot, and that's minor. The road's still holding up and all that. And I think if we're gonna do stuff, I think we should continue in that. If we got enough money to do it right, and not wait.
Mhm.
But I think that's one of the investments that would pay off too. So maybe we can look into more of that. with some extra funds too.
Because I think a few of the roads that are coming up are gonna need a full reconstruction too. They're not, a patch isn't gonna cure it.
Yeah, the road, we haven't talked about this, but the new road improvement program reserve
Mhm.
is in here. And so, it's got about $40,000 allocated in this budget, which isn't very much, but the purpose of a reserve is that you're building it up
Mhm.
over time. So, I mean, I think it's just, I don't know of a way to do a full road reconstruction every single year. No.
Yeah.
We might not
No,
be
but
able
if you
to, but
plan it.
But if every 5 years, you might be able, that's.
rather than doing a Skimco, which was done recently on some of the roads around here, which is worth absolutely nothing at this point because it's all disintegrated.
Mhm.
It's better to just do it right. And if it takes the extra year to get it done, at least it's done right. And we won't be putting money back into that road in the future, or not nearly as much.
Mhm. No, I think that's great.
Excuse me.
Looks good, Chris.
Yeah,
It's a lot
yeah,
of
thanks.
work.
Yeah, I know.
So I'll make those two changes. I would strongly prefer to have all these, all changes communicated by next meeting,
Okay.
at next meeting.
Mhm.
And so we need to start,
Mm.
we need to put together a draft warrant, and that's based off of these numbers, so.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm glad to see the school is able to keep things down too. That helps a lot. In fact, the high school is incredibly surprising.
Yeah,
Our surplus is up and our percentage is good.
Mhm.
What can you ask for?
Yeah.
It's good.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, L-Wive management. Annual, like it otherwise the fish.
This is the same thing we do every
Yeah,
year, right?
Does anyone need any explanation?
Yeah. Okay.
If you're familiar with,
The area that needs repair? Or is it a different street?
the state gives us, if we don't do it ourselves, the state regulates the L-Wives.
Okay,
So basically, we're just doing it. Basically, there's no L-Wive run, so we're not issuing any licenses.
gotcha.
So that's pretty much going on.
Okay.
Hopefully it gets rebuilt. The pictures
Right.
they've done of some of those that they've
Yeah.
done are
They're
incredible.
nice,
I was
yeah.
talking with someone a couple days ago about fish ladders, and they were talking, I said, no, they can do fish ladders now that are really good design.
Yeah.
And I looked at that after, was it Misha Mudsky, was she here for that one?
Mission My Tar.
Mitar, that's it. I went up and looked closer at the swim ladder up there, and she says, all wives can't jump. Well,
Mhm.
everything's like a 6-inch jump between the steps. So that's why they're not running.
That's not better.
So that would be really worth having done.
And it can be huge revenue. It can be a
Yeah,
huge,
yeah.
I've seen it in some places, Orland and stuff. It's a big thing.
It'd be nice to have them back.
Okay, I'll make a motion to direct the town manager to advise the Maine Department of Marine Resources that the Tremont Board of Selectmen have voted that for the calendar year 2019, Seal Cove Brook shall be closed to recreational fishing for river herring, and that the town will not lease its river herring rights.
Second?
So moved and seconded to direct the town manager to advise Maine Department of Marine Resources that the Tremont Board of Selectmen have voted that for calendar year 2019, Seal Cove Brook shall be closed to recreational fishing for river herring, and that the town will not lease its river herring rights. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, health officer report. You've got one.
Callie Goddard is volunteered to be
Yay.
an interim health officer. I say interim because she wants to test drive the job before she commits long-term to it. I did want to correct one mistake that I had in here. She is a retired nurse practitioner, not nurse. But otherwise, she'd be happy to do that.
Great.
Just to make you know, so you know how relevant it is. That's another hat I've been wearing apparently lately, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let's get someone who knows what they're doing.
When there's no health officer, the chairman of the board of selectmen is is the default health officer.
Mhm.
Let's
Makes you
make a
feel good.
motion quick.
Makes you feel- makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, I had no idea that was a.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
Don't you want the job?
No. To confirm the town manager's appointment of Callie Gothard as interim health officer with term expiring June 30th, 2019.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the town manager's appointment of Callie Goddard as interim health officer with term expiring June 30th, 2019. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, Seal Cove Landing Light. Has the Harbor Committee weighed in?
They did. They did not take a formal motion, but they did say that they're fine with having a light there. They are a little worried that the solar powered lights that are, you know, inexpensively available are pretty low powered. We're talking a couple hundred lumens or a
Yeah.
couple dozen lumens?
We did it to like,
Like
what,
a,
20 watt, less than 20 watts?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, it was
like a weak flashlight.
Yeah, it would be.
Exactly. So it's you know, is that worthwhile to do? Is there another way, you know, to
Is there anything to place it on there? There's some pilings, I guess you could.
Those cement pilings is all I could think of. But
Yeah.
if you had a,
Where does he want the light to go?
That's what I was wondering.
right where the, I think, right where the landing is, you know, where the,
Where the metal floats start?
yeah, where
Oh,
those
okay.
floats start
Okay.
down over. It's dark out on the
Okay.
floats for people getting in and out of skiffs and stuff. So
Yep.
I think, I mean, optimally, if you could keep the power on land and not have to go on the water, if you could have something, I was trying to think, is there any way we could attach something on land at the edge of the water right there that would shine out over, just because
You know, that street light actually does a pretty good job since they trimmed the trees.
Yeah.
I came in there last year. I told Jimmy,
Yeah.
I came in there last year. I lost steering on a boat. I've been over in Blue Hill. And I didn't want to come all the way around to Morgan Bass Harbor because it was a lot further. And it was pitch black coming in there. I could barely tell where the dock was until I got right on top of it. But I was looking around and there's a street light up there right above it. And the trees had all blocked it. So Justin went up, or had someone, I'm not sure the exact process, but they trimmed the trees out a few days later. It made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Probably as much difference as any, 200 lumen light would do.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think that if we're gonna do anything, then we should do an actual light versus not a half a dozen lights that aren't
well,
gonna work.
you know, we're actually looking at LED upgrades on all the lights, right?
Yeah.
Why not get a focused light, an extra light, and maybe not a street light, but an LED light that points down towards the dock from that same pole and make sure it's clear.
The LED transition is possibly going to be a power purchase agreement. So I don't know if you can build installing new lights into that. I can certainly.
I mean,
Ask
to me,
that
that would make
question.
sense, and I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good location, it's got power right there
It's got
already.
power right there.
And
you
just treat it like a
focus.
second
Yeah.
street light.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to me, that, I mean, you could hit that with a lot of light,
Mhm.
so you could walk around down there and see, I mean, honestly, it's not that bad since the trees were trimmed, but it could use more light for
Yeah.
sure. And that would be a place, you don't need to build structure,
Mhm.
you don't need to do an underground line, have an aerial line, which may be a problem.
No,
I mean,
that's a
even
good
if
idea.
because the LED thing is taking longer than I might have
Yeah.
originally hoped. So it might even be something that I can ask Amira if they can do, and then I don't know what that costs us. But I certainly wouldn't go ahead and do anything without bringing costs back to you.
Yeah,
because-
Oh, yeah,
why don't,
but-
why don't we ask Chris to look into that?
Yeah. Because I've seen similar lights to that, and they're not that I mean, they're $400 or $500, something like that. And you can get a pretty high powered,
Yeah.
something
Yeah, for
that
that.
will, that would definitely shine down there. That's a good idea.
You put it in LEDs, you're probably never gonna have to change the light.
I would just rather spend $500 than I would 300 and have those little half flashlights
Yeah.
down there. 'cause I
Yeah,
don't
not
think they're
even
gonna
work.
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't we get a motion
Make
for
that
that?
motion.
Ask Chris to look
Yeah.
into
I make a motion to have the town manager look into, LED lighting from
From
a
existing.
utility pole.
Yeah, dock lighting, LED dock lighting
Yep.
from existing poles.
Existing utility pole,
Yeah.
down at Seal Cove Landing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to ask the town manager to look into LED lighting on existing utility pole for the Seal Cove Landing. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Yeah, that might be a really good solution if it works well.
Yeah, you can get those focused, like the Durb lights they have for boats now. You can have the different lenses they want them to, so you can bring it into a spot, so it's on a very small area, and you can broaden that beam. You can bring
Yeah, and they
it
got a
little
sharp
bit
edge
wider.
too, so you could
Yeah.
actually probably hit the edge of the dock but not blind someone bringing a boat.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
yeah, no, it's worth looking into for sure.
Will do.
Okay. Sorry about that. Item F, BYOB liquor licenses.
Can you give us any background information?
So last week, or actually the week before, Andrew Simon of the Barnards Collective came into the town office and wanted me to sign a permit that he would submit to the state for a BYOB liquor license. This was definitely the first time I had experienced anything like this, and I went back to the files and I couldn't find anything existing from years before me. Mackenzie's shaking her head too, I think. Yeah, this is new territory for all of us. And so a BYOB event is defined, and I put the definition in your packet. It's, general public is invited. A person brings liquor for personal consumption, so not sharing it with other people. No liquor is sold at the event, and entertainment is provided. Those are the basic, and it's just a one-time thing. And so they were having an event at the barn, and he wanted to have. Hey, okay.
And-
Speak of.
Yeah, we're just talking about.
Do you want me to stop and let Andrew take over?
Yeah, we're just going over the history of BYOB license request.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so-
curious.
Well, it's kind of new to all of us, so.
Right.
um,
I talked to the liquor inspector. He's an interesting. And what he would, I mean, maybe Chris filled you in, but what he had said was that in most towns that he works with, the clerk can sign off on something like this, or the town manager, and
Yeah.
then Chris talked to him on the phone.
Yeah.
And then they said like there's something that exists in Tremont. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was curious your thoughts on that, and thought that could be part of a larger conversation. if you want.
I don't have any problem with it. Like I say, it's just, we're discussing, it's never come up before.
Right.
And I get the liquor license so far, any of that stuff, the selectmen sign off on. But, we can easily authorize Chris to do it. Chris and Katie both, I guess.
Yeah, I think it just for efficiency for people like Andrew coming in, it's
Yeah.
easier. There's two people that way. If
Yeah.
I'm not in the
Yeah,
office
that's
or Katie's not in the office,
Mhm.
the other one can do it. I do just ask some questions. If you want to just give me blanket authority, or then, and if you get complaints, return to this. That's certainly one way to do it. There's not necessarily a reason to make a big policy if there's never been an issue, but you could preemptively make a policy for, how do I know when or when not to give that approval? Because if I don't have a policy, I'm probably just going to give approval 100% of the time. But, if I won't use Barnards as an example for this, but let's say there was another group that they came in, they got they signed off on it, they had an event, and we got a ton of complaints about that event, or the sheriff's called me the next day and said, hey, there was this like big, party that people were upset about, and then they came in the next week and wanted me to sign off on another one. I might have some reservations about signing off on that one. And I think, the way that the law is written, I'm not required, the law doesn't set any criteria. I could just say, I don't feel comfortable signing off on this because there were these complaints. I'm going to force you to go to the Board of Selectmen. Maybe we just handle it that way, and you don't need necessarily a written policy for that.
It doesn't seem to have been an issue so far.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just
And-
thinking of the worst case scenario
Well,
for everything.
well, the regular liquor licenses work the same way, we get notified of this complaint.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see any reason not to just hand it over to you. Again, it's,
And if there's any.
rather than having to
complaints-
wait 2 or 3 weeks to,
If there's any complaints, just kick it back to the select board
Mhm.
and then if it seems to be reoccurring, then we could do something then.
And then I also put this in the memo. Do you have any interest in setting a fee or just? The state sets a $10 fee and,
Mhm.
you know, from my perspective, it's just a signature. It's not hard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm not a giant fan of this to begin with. I think it's opening up a situation that we have very little control over. And I understand it's completely different than a restaurant. I know it's two different things, but I don't know. I just, then I feel like we're going to have everybody coming in here and who, and I'm not saying that they're not going to follow the rules, but who says I'm not sharing my 6-pack with Jamie? I just feel like there's no way to make sure that somebody's following these rules. So I'm not a fan of the BYOB situation.
Well, my gut feeling, probably a lot of it goes on already. and no
Well,
one's ever
that's
got a
true
license.
too, yes,
I didn't know you
yes.
needed a license for it.
Yes, but now if they're coming to the town,
Yeah.
now it's going to fall in our lap now.
Would you be
Oh,
more
well, does
comfortable
it?
if we had a
Or
policy?
No, good.
No, would you be more comfortable if we had a policy, if we made an outline of, a policy of,
I mean, I'm not sure the policy, yes, I think if we had some sort of rules but who's going to enforce them? Just because we have rules, I mean,
Yeah.
are we going to go to each function?
Well, I don't think it's even the town that does anyway, is it?
I mean, it would be,
Yeah, the state.
no, we could, if we knew of an event that was happening that hadn't been, properly permitted, I could use the example of like a restaurant that was just operating, I would just call the sheriffs.
I mean, it's definitely new territory, and maybe I'm just being a little, maybe we should give it a try and see what happens. And
I think, any action you can do, you can undo. So you can give the town manager and the town clerk authority, and we can come back to you and say, we've gotten a lot of complaints, or there's been these complications. You can, adopt a policy and, anything that's done can be undone.
okay.
Yeah, I think we take a shot at it. I mean,
Sure.
it hasn't really
Deal.
been. I doubt it's gonna ramp up.
Yeah, it might not
much.
be an issue. It's never been an issue, but it's never, yeah. I mean, I guess it's just, it's very sort of like loose. There's not a lot of, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you, like my personal policy is just gonna be, someone comes to me, I'm gonna sign it until I, have,
Yeah, unless there's a reason not to.
unless there's a reason, unless I've gotten complaints. And
How long's the license for? Is it annual or is it one-time event?
One time it's.
Okay.
So
that
you
be a
would
lot easier
come in
to-
each time if you had another,
Yeah,
Do
and
they
if-
do an annual one? I mean, I know there've been restaurants around that were. you
some
bring your own
restaurants
bottle.
do,
I mean,
yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
Seaweed Cafe used
Yeah.
to be like that.
I guess maybe that's part of a policy you could work out with,
Yeah.
like as part of your
Yeah.
liquor license.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, this is just for, the BYOB one is the only one I researched, and that's just.
Okay.
it says the Bureau may issue a permit that authorizes multiple BYOB functions over a period of 12 months, as long as the BYOB functions are held at the same location.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So
So that would be germane to the.
Yeah.
I would guess that it's more than $10, but
Yeah.
if we just handle it right now, though, as a single,
Per,
in
Yeah.
each thing, that way it gives us a little bit of control
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
and if something happens, then we can put start looking into a policy or whatever.
and I don't have a problem with you guys signing it in the office,
Mhm.
like you said before, until, or if it becomes an issue, then yeah, if you get complaints from neighbors or, whatever, then we might have to
Mhm.
rethink the.
Why don't we authorize them to do it? I don't think we need a fee for signature.
No, I don't.
There's no, so, yeah, no town fee.
Okay.
And see how it goes. If it becomes an issue, we'll deal with it.
And I will make a motion to designate the town manager and the town clerk to approve or deny BYOB liquor license applications.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to designate the town manager and the town clerk to approve or deny BYOB liquor license applications. Any discussion?
Do you want me to put without a fee? Does that matter? No, okay.
All those in favor? There you go.
great.
Well, appreciate it, thanks. It's a nonprofit organization with a mission to bring people together,
Yeah.
so make that easier, and I think
Yeah.
we'll have more fun with that together. So appreciate it.
Yeah. I never realized you need a license when people bring their own booze in. Like I say, that's,
If it's a
That's
general
another-
public event, it's not
Yeah.
like you have, folks over for dinner for your
Yeah,
house.
no,
and
I
need a
know,
license
yeah.
for that. That's a different, you can keep doing that without a license. That's
that'd
fine.
be good. You could shut them off sometimes. It's all right. I haven't got a license. You can't drink in my house.
You can tell.
Okay, town manager's report.
All right, so some major emphasis of the last 2 weeks. I sent a map of all of the worst ice locations on Tremont Road to MDOT officials.
You're still laughing?
No, well, you might have seen, they did bring
Yeah.
down a scraper, I think it was a jury-rigged road grader, but a scraper to work on some of those sections, and not to be ungrateful, but I couldn't tell the difference before and after, so, but,
A
they were
couple of them
there.
are a lot better.
Maybe they were better, okay.
It might have
okay.
been the weather
All right.
too, but I did notice one
Okay,
or two
well,
of them had
good.
improved some.
The town crew did a really good job on a few of them, the one that was down here, they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
an awesome job on it and cleaned it up, and
I
it
mean,
was,
it's basically been, if not daily, six days a week.
Yeah.
Someone has been out there scraping, salting, sanding,
Yeah.
just chipping away at it. When there's 4 inches of ice on the road, there's just,
look at the culverts.
Yeah.
There's ice a foot above the side of the road.
But
Yeah.
by the way, while we're talking about that, I had to drive across the island and back in the middle of the day today. Tremont roads are in better shape than any of the roads I drove on.
all
I
right.
just want to pass that on.
Take that. We'll take that. I did speak with the guys, our contact at DOT, and I also spoke with our town engineer about this issue. A lot of it is this year, this freeze thaw
Yeah.
cycle has been just killer. There's been a lot of water coming out of the woods, and that's that's what's happening up at Clydesdale Way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water that comes out of there. So there had been a discussion at a previous meeting that there might be some interest in sending a letter to the state or taking some formal action to express to the state what the Board of Selectmen wants. I don't think you should talk about that right now, but would you like to put it on the agenda for a future meeting?
No, I don't have any need to do that.
I mean, they're coming down and they're
Yeah,
attempting,
please.
Yeah.
and they're
Okay.
showing up,
I
I
am
guess.
fine with that.
Again, this has been an extreme year,
Okay.
Yeah,
and, I'm sure we're not the only ones that get ice on the roads.
No,
And,
we
the
are
fact
not.
that they showed up when we asked them to, I think, is
that's a huge
about as
deal.
much as you can
Yeah.
expect.
In the name of doing research, I took the liberty of driving to New Hampshire, to the White Mountains this weekend and
Well, thank
back for
That's
you
nice
guys and I did some hiking along the way. Anyway, I passed a lot of very similar places. It's statewide.
I think the only thing that was brought up before was the looking for a reimbursement, more than anything is what I think. was
I did
thought.
actually propose that when I was on the phone with him, and he said I'd have to run that up the flagpole.
This
But
is
it wasn't a
Sure,
flat out
it's
no.
For if our town crew is, if we don't mind taking care of some of these places, and they're doing a great job doing it, if the state can't come down, then if they were willing to just give us a little reimbursement for it, then, I mean, maybe it's easier for them, if we.
And it might be less expensive for them, honestly. So
Sure,
they are thinking about it. I've
Okay.
Okay.
Yep,
giving
that's
them a
the
couple
only part
weeks
of
to
it
run
was-
that up the
Yeah.
flagpole, and I'll hear
Yep.
back. So.
Good.
So moving on, we had the solar array ribbon cutting last Saturday, about 30 attendees. It was really great press, the front page of the Islander. So.
Made some grandkids very happy, thank you, sir.
They were adorable. They were really cute.
They're thrilled to be on the front page.
Sorry, let me just make a note of one thing. All right, we did start the new recycling system out here on Friday. So I haven't gotten any complaints so far.
By the way, I noticed that too. Thank you very much for the sign.
Yeah.
I like it. There's no little pictures of red slashes. It actually
Okay.
spells out what's okay
What's
and what
okay, what's
isn't.
not.
You know,
It looks better out there.
I did have some people say that they like the other sign, but
Okay.
okay.
Oh.
If you guys are happy with it, I'm happy with it.
I'm happy with it.
Great. And then finalizing this budget work. So, I had a lot of help from the office staff and, making these binders. So it was a really lot of work, and I'm very happy with the final product. So some minor stuff going on, getting ready to post roads. You might have seen that the towns of Mount Desert and Bar Harbor have posted roads already. The ground looks pretty frozen. It still feels pretty frozen to me, so I don't feel the need to jump on that right away.
You know,
I don't
I'm
wanna-
not so sure. I just did some plowing today and I ripped up a lot of stuff that I
Yeah.
thought was frozen.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the road. I mean, I'm just like down
Yeah.
the driveway, so it's not as frozen as I thought it was.
Yeah, I expect to have it in the next week or two.
Yeah, okay.
So,
This next week's supposed to be really cold, I think, and then next
Friday,
weekend-
Friday is supposed to
Yeah,
warm up.
it's supposed to warm back up on, Friday, Saturday, whatever, so. sure.
I've been soliciting bids for portable toilets. I know exciting stuff going on over here. But the rates did go up and the higher rate is in the budget, but because overall we'll end up spending more than $5,000 on portable toilets next year, it does go out to bid. So I've been getting those and I should have some bids back on Tuesday. I've been having communications with a representative from Inland Fish and Wildlife regarding hunting, and I'm planning to share those updates with you at the March 18th Select Board meeting. I attended the League of Towns meeting last Tuesday. We're working currently on the renewal of our property and casualty insurance policy, and that renewal form gets longer every year. I drafted some general policies for the Board of Selectmen. You might remember last spring, early summer, you requested me to redraft those because you would adopt them in the first meeting after town meeting every year.
Mhm.
So I want to have those ready for you. I'm planning to show you the draft on April 1st.
Okay.
I attended the Tremont Road Bridge Progress Update, and I attended the Harbor Committee meeting. Office staff preparing the town report, making these budget binders, processing lien discharges, Public Works, plowing and truck maintenance, as you might imagine. They did clear out a frozen culvert up on the Turner Road. Thanks to Jamie for helping get the red trailer fixed, which provides hot water for cleaning up those culverts. Fixing some potholes on Harbor Drive and Bernard Roads. So whether we like it or not, we are doing a little bit of maintenance on State Road, but also don't like residents to have broken axles. And then one of the garage doors had to be fixed, so getting that fixed. Our harbor master finished off registering the town boat for the upcoming year. He also attended the planning board meeting regarding the ferry terminal public hearing. So if you haven't heard, we're getting a new ferry in the next few months, which requires, it's a larger ferry. It can accommodate a few more vehicles, and so they have to expand the size of the terminal. So they've been having public hearing about that. He updated the mooring list and the mooring waiting list. We had a harbor committee meeting last week. Worked on the annual mooring letters. Also was on vacation 2 weeks ago, and then for next week, for this week, I should say, he'll be at the annual Harbor Masters School over in Castine. So some priorities over the next couple weeks. I will be, the Department of Environmental Protection has requested that I draft agreements for those neighbors who we installed water treatment systems in their homes. They would like to see agreements that they sign on to that say that they're allowing the town to do annual maintenance. So I've been slowly working on getting that together. So I'm hoping to get those agreements together in the next couple of weeks. I also have meetings with Alan Parsons, Mike Radcliffe, and Rich Helmke, not all together, but individual meetings with all of them for the Economic Development Strategic Plan research. We'll be drafting the town meeting warrant for your review. So assuming that we stick to the schedule, that warrant should come to you at your March 25th meeting. And then now that I am not totally immersed in budget preparations, I have a little bit more time to get to some projects that you've assigned to me. And so researching what a tree warden job description would be and that kind of thing. That's on my schedule.
Good job.
Yeah.
Busy place.
Indeed.
Okay, suggestions for the next meeting. I've had people approach me on 2 different things.
Yes.
There's been talk of trying to form a coastal watershed district to kind of control coastal water, to have the towns have some say, and like the near shore waters, no discharge zones and that type of thing. And basically it would be getting together with other towns and some rules and forming a water district where you can agree for water cleanliness. And I'd like to put that on the next agenda. And there's a lot I don't know about it. But it sounds to me like it's a pretty good idea, if you can keep the local waters better and have some say in what's going on with them. And the other thing is, I've been asked about using the rest of the solar array property up there, the landfill property, for a community solar farm, which I know we talked about in the past. The infrastructure's been built, so we could expand and use the whole thing, but I think we should discuss it. It might even be something that should go to town meeting to approve it, whereas, but again, there's been local people that have asked me, and I got kind of questioned on what the process was. So I think that should be an agenda item.
Would you also like the community solar farm on the March 11th agenda?
Yeah, do you have any idea how bad it's gonna be at this point? How busy?
Yeah, let me pull up.
Just looking,
We have like
the
every,
11th, the 18th.
I know, sorry,
25th,
March's
yeah.
budget
Every
month.
Start just
Monday,
looking
yeah.
at the calendar.
So in addition to the budget, I've got 1, 2, 3 items.
And this is next week you're talking about?
Yeah.
Why don't we put it up one more week on both of those?
Both of those?
Yeah.
So you want
I
them,
was forgetting we get it at a meeting in a
so
week.
you want them on the 18th?
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
No urgency in either of those.
Once I'm actually drafting the agenda, which I'll be doing tomorrow, it might actually, like, the 18th might actually be more full than next week. So I might do 1 and 1, but you and I can
Yeah,
talk about
that's
that.
fine, yeah. And again, this, like I say, this is just kind of planning stages. I think the water district thing is gonna be a long while before that turns into anything concrete. But again, it sounds like a really good suggestion to me. No one has anything else? Okay. Next meeting date. Yeah, okay, why don't we do that, and then we'll go into the executive
Okay.
session.
I will make a motion to confirm the date of the next meeting from Monday, March 11th, 2019 at 6 PM at the town office.
Second,
Been moved and seconded to confirm the next meeting date for Monday, March 11th at 6 PM right here. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Chris, I won't be here though. Sorry, guys.
Who's gonna make the executive session motion?
Mackenzie said
I
she
can,
would.
do you have it?
Exactly wording?
Didn't sign up for that.
That's okay, I just got volunteered. I will make a motion to go into executive session to find that the public discussion of these personnel matters could be reasonably expected to cause damage to the employee's reputation and/or to violate the employee's privacy rights, and therefore to go into executive session to discuss the employment, appointment, assignment, duties, promotion, demotion, compensation, evaluation, disciplining, resignation, or dismissal of an individual or group of public officials, appointees, or employees as permitted by 1 MRSA 405.6.a.
That's it?
Wow, sorry. Holy cow.
Second,
Okay. Mackenzie's motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
That is a mouthful.
That was painful.
Yeah, that was a little bit.
See you, Andrew.
Bye-bye.